Welcome to the Catholic Sobriety Podcast, the go-to resource for women seeking to have a deeper understanding of the role alcohol plays in their lives. Women who are looking to drink less or not at all for any reason. I am your host, Christi Walker. I'm a wife, mom, and a joy-filled Catholic, and I am the Catholic Sobriety Coach, and I am so glad you're here. Welcome and Happy New Year. I am so glad that you are here with me, whether you're sipping on your morning coffee, driving to work, on a walk, or squeezing in some you time. I want this to be an episode where you feel encouraged, supported, and inspired. Because I know that the beginning of the new year can be a mix of a little bit of fear for what is ahead of the year, and then also maybe having goals that you want to achieve for the year, but worrying that you might not be able to. But then there's also this mix of excitement for kind of the fresh page. I think of it as like when I have a new journal and I open it up and there's all these blank pages. It's exciting, yet it can be a little daunting as well. So as I'm recording this, it's day 2 of 2025, and I know that a lot of you are starting something like Dry January or maybe some other type of challenge, and a lot of people do Dry January. Now, I recorded an episode about Dry January last year, so you can go back and listen to episode 58, and it's called Exploring the Benefits and Pitfalls of Dry January. We're going to talk a little bit about those things today, but in that episode, I talk about what Dry January is, how it got started, and some of those things. So you might want to go back and listen to that one as well for some other information and details that I'm not going to be including in this episode. Now, I wanted to record this episode to encourage you because there is actually a day in January called National Quitters Day. And this is the day when most people who made a New Year's resolution or participating in a challenge of some kind like Dry January give up on their efforts. And that day is January 10th. So it's usually the second Friday in January. This year it is on January 10th. But I'm not going to let that happen to you. You are going to do it. You are going to make it all the way through January and beyond because I'm going to help you because I'm going to give you some tips that are going to ensure that you can stay on track and keep this commitment to yourself because I really want you to experience the benefits of being alcohol-free for 30 days or 31 days. Now, if you decide, I don't want to give up alcohol forever, that's okay. Like, don't think about it forever. But in doing Dry January or other 30-day challenges like this, it can help you figure out what level of sobriety is right for you, which is most of the work that I do with women like you. There may even be a little voice in your head right now that's whispering doubts to you, like, what if I can't do this? Or maybe you're wondering how you're going to handle social events or family gatherings, or, just evening time when you would typically have a glass of alcohol and now you're not. So first, let me just say you are not alone in those feelings. Everybody has them, whether they're giving up alcohol or something else. Now, I have my own commitments and things that I want to do and goals that I want to do for the year. And I have those worries and doubts as well, but I'm not going to let that keep me stuck. I'm not going to let that keep me from moving forward. I'm going to figure out what those obstacles are that could prevent me from moving forward and plan around them. So if you've been feeling stuck in your drinking habits, especially if you are someone that, you kind of feel like you have it all together in most other areas of your life, then I want you to know that I see you because It is incredibly common for high-achieving women who excel at work, at faith, at family, at leadership, volunteer, to struggle with habits that just don't feel aligned with who they truly are. So I want you to hear me when I say this. You are not broken, and you are certainly not alone. And I hope today's episode is going to help give you the guidance so that you can experience a transformation this month and beyond. Now, if you are listening to this episode and it's not January, you can still get a ton out of it because I like to do resets like 3 or 4 times a year. So I usually do a reset at the beginning of the year, at Lent, I do a reset in the fall, and then sometimes I do a reset right before the holidays so that I can be in a good space for Advent when Advent comes. So use this for whatever makes sense for you. And if you just have a month that you want to try a challenge then this will be very, very helpful for you. So today we are going to set the stage for an incredible month ahead. I just want you to keep that in your mind. Not a deprivation mindset, but a mindset of excitement and anticipation. And my goal here is to help you kick off this 30-day challenge in a way that feels strong and intentional and empowering. So by the time you cross that finish line, you realize that this isn't just a challenge anymore. And by the end of this episode, I hope you'll feel not only prepared, but truly enthusiastic about all the growth and clarity that lies ahead. All right, are you ready? Take a deep breath, grab a notebook if you like, and let's get started. All right, now that we've set the tone for an intentional and grace-filled start to your dry January, I want to take a few minutes to talk about something that I know might already be kind of weighing on your heart right now. Those fears and those doubts that can creep in anytime we start a big challenge like this. And for many of you, one or more of these might sound familiar. Maybe you're worried about how your friends and family will react when you say, "No thanks, I'm not drinking right now." Will they judge you? Will they think that you're going through some kind of crisis? Or worse, will they stop inviting you altogether? Or perhaps you've tried something similar before and you're just afraid of failing again. That thought can be so discouraging, and it keeps many of us from even trying in the first place. And then there's that fear of if you don't do it perfectly, or if you don't get the perfect start, then you've messed everything up. That is not true. Dust yourself off, sister. Just go forward again. Don't sit in it. Do not let it keep you from your goal. Count your days sober if that's what you want to do. Maybe you don't have 31 days completely without alcohol, but maybe for you, the huge goal would be to drink considerably less than you already do. So in that case, keep track of your sober days or set those boundaries like I'm only going to drink 1 day a week. Whatever it is for you, that's what I want you to do. If you set too big of a goal, then it can be super discouraging, but set a goal that is not going to be super easy either. You want it to challenge you. And then we have this fear too. And I know that it resonates with so many of us. The fear that somehow letting go of alcohol might just mean losing control in other parts of your life, especially if you're a high achiever, if you have things mostly together. Sometimes we can falsely feel like alcohol is helping us hold it all together, or that it's how we are caring for ourselves. So if you are listening and you're thinking, if I already feel stressed and overwhelmed, how can I handle my life without what feels like my safety net right now? this is the thing that I look forward to at the end of the day. Right now, alcohol feels like the only way that you can cope with the stress of motherhood, social pressures, and maybe even fit in with your group of friends. But you're starting to realize that it's leaving you feeling ashamed, disconnected, and maybe even out of control. Imagine if you could wake up each morning feeling at peace and proud of the choices that you're making and free from the pressure to drink, whether that's at home or in social settings. And that, my friend, is where my 5-day Sacred Sobriety Kickstart comes in. By the end of the 5 days, you will feel more peaceful and in control because you will have more clarity and confidence around your decisions to take it or leave it. You're also going to learn how to manage your mind in a way that is aligned with your faith. You will learn how to speak truth over yourself, and that will help you root out what's keeping you stuck. So check out my 5-day Sacred Sobriety Kickstart and gain the clarity you need to make the decision to take alcohol or leave it from a place of peace. You can visit my website, thecatholicsobrietycoach.com. I have a pop-up there, or just go to my show notes. You're not alone. These fears are so common. And guess what? They are not a sign that you are weak or unworthy of making this change. They are part of the process. Something that you'll hear me say time and time again, maybe you've heard me say it already a million times, but I'm going to say it a million more, is to be a scientist, to get curious, to look at things not from a place of judgment, from a place of pure and genuine compassion and curiosity, so that you can then take that not as a failure, but as a learning tool, as a stepping stone toward where you want to go. Missteps are just part of the process. And anytime we change a habit or behavior, especially one tied to our identity or our social life, our brains naturally push back. It's a defense mechanism. Our brains are designed to keep us safe, to keep us comfortable, and to do what is easy. So, of course, they're going to hate this. Your brain is going to hate this. It's going to tell you you're going to fail, but just say, look, I love you. We are going to do this. It's not always going to be comfortable, but that is okay because growth comes in the discomfort. So here's some good news. These fears are not going to define your experience. They're absolutely manageable if you approach this whole challenge with a mindset of grace and, again, curiosity. And don't forget to sprinkle in a tad bit of humor. You do not have to be perfect. All you have to do is be willing. You just have to have a willingness to try, a willingness to learn, a willingness to examine the facts and pivot and plan. So I just want to share a story with you really quick to illustrate what I mean. My husband and I, many years ago, decided to do Whole30 1 year. So for those of you who aren't familiar, Whole30 is like a 30-day reset for your eating habits. During this time, you cut out things like sugar and alcohol, grains, dairy, and a bunch of other things just to help your body reset. And it also, which was the biggest win for me, was to identify any food sensitivities. Now, it's not meant to be a diet or forever lifestyle. It's simply a tool for clarity and mindful eating, but it does help you shift the way you eat and make that a lifestyle. Now, I have to be really honest with you. The first time my husband and I tried Whole30, we've done it probably, maybe 7 or 8 times. And the first time we tried it, we both totally missed the point. We were so focused on the rules. We were focused on what we couldn't have. And that turned into just being focused on restriction, having a deprivation mindset. And I was constantly counting the days until I could have my normal food again. And I didn't really allow myself to reflect on my why I was doing it in the first place. And because of that, I didn't build lasting change. I was just worried about getting through that 30 days. But here's the thing. I didn't give up on myself. I did not do that perfectly, but I learned something valuable that first time, that second time, that third time, and eventually I approached Whole30 with a completely different mindset. And instead of just eliminating things, I looked at it as an opportunity to reset not just my diet, but other aspects of my life. And not only was I resetting, I was taking time to reflect on how and why I was making the choices and what those benefits were. And every time I did Whole30, I gained more clarity about which foods were really bothering me, which ones I needed to cut out for good, which ones I could have sometimes, and which ones could stay because they didn't really bother me. Okay, now why am I telling you this? Well, because dry January is so much like that. It's not just about cutting out alcohol for 30 days, it's about giving yourself a chance to reflect, to notice the times that you might be reaching for a drink and asking, why? What am I really looking for in this moment? It's a chance to reset, not just your habits, but the way that you view alcohol and your relationship with yourself, with God, with your family. And just like with Whole30, you don't have to get it perfect the first time, the second time, or any time to actually gain something from that experience. You might have days where it feels super easy, and then you're going to have days where it is so challenging, and that's okay. You're human. But every single moment of time that you spend poring over your choices, how they made you feel, and what it added to or took away from your life, every little insight, that is going to bring you closer to the transformation that you are craving. All right, now take a deep breath. We've got this. Now let's move on to tackling some of the challenges ahead and exploring some practical strategies to help you make these 30 days not just possible, but powerful and, dare I say, pleasurable. Okay, now it's time to get practical. We've talked about naming our fears and shifting our mindset. So now I want to help you build your toolkit. These are your set of strategies to not only survive dry January or whatever no alcohol challenge you're doing, but to thrive through it. So I want you to think of this as a collection of simple and actionable ideas that you can pull out whenever you need them. These tools are going to help you avoid overdrinking, handle social pressure, and most importantly, stay true to your goals while still enjoying yourself. So let's start with one of the most common challenges during the 30-day alcohol commitment, or 31-day, I guess, for January. What do you do when someone offers you a drink, whether that's at a party, a family gathering, or even something casual like, I don't know, maybe dinner or lunch with a friend? There's always that moment where you need to answer the question, why aren't you drinking? And if you're anything like me, that can feel a little intimidating at first. But here's my advice. Plan your response ahead of time. Planning is going to help you through this entire month. Plan, plan, plan. I know. January is all about planning, right? Planning for the year ahead. But just planning for these interactions and what you want to say when someone offers you a drink is going to empower you so you'll know what you want to say. Now, you do not need to over-explain or apologize. Just keep it simple and confident. You can say something like, "No, thank you," because that is a complete sentence. Or you can say, "I'm sticking with water tonight," or "I'm taking a break from alcohol and I've been loving it." What I've found is that most people won't push past that. And if they do, it's often more about their own insecurities than it is about you. Your decision is valid simply because it is yours. Another helpful tactic is to come prepared with your own non-alcoholic beverages, because quite honestly, those who are drinking don't always think about those of us who do not drink. They will often have just water or soda. But I will say it's getting better and better because there's all kinds of sparkling waters now, and mocktails are kind of becoming a thing. And there's a lot of non-alcoholic adult beverages on the market today that weren't even here 5 years ago. So it's becoming more and more common. But I always say to bring your own non-alcoholic beverages just in case they don't have something for you. And just think of it that way. Like, it's not really their responsibility to have something for you. If they do, then that's a great gift. But if not, you're okay because you've brought your own things, whether that's sparkling water or even something as simple as tea. Maybe you could even ask if you could bring some ingredients to make a fun mocktail for anybody who wants it. Having a drink in hand, though, can ease the pressure, and it will get people not to ask you if you want to drink. So if you have something, then you can say, "Oh, I'm good, I've got this." But again, I just want to invite you to just practice saying no thank you confidently. And I know it sounds so simple, but the way you say it matters. If you respond with hesitation or discomfort, people are going to be more likely to question you or coax you into changing your mind. But when you decline a drink with a smile and a tone that's like, "Hey, this is no big deal, just no thank you," calm confidence will reflect back at the person offering, and they are much more likely just to move on. Okay, so now that we've talked about how to handle some of the social pressures, let's look at another fear that I know is on many minds, and that is losing social connections. Now, many of us get into drinking and our drinking accelerates because it makes us feel like we're part of something. It makes us feel connected in some way. So fear of losing that is a real fear. And maybe you're feeling nervous that if you take alcohol out of the equation, you'll suddenly become a social outcast or feel disconnected from your group of friends. First of all, you are not alone in feeling this way. It is seriously one of the most common concerns that people have when it comes to something like dry January or reducing alcohol for any reason. But here's the truth. The connection that you have with others isn't about the drink in your hand. It's about time, energy, and the intention that you put into being with others. Quite honestly, I find as a sober person, if I'm in a room full of people who are drinking, when I'm talking to them, I don't feel listened to. I don't feel like they're really hearing me because I almost feel like I'm talking to somebody who has their phone up in front of their face. I'm wondering, are they going to remember this conversation? Or maybe they're much more jovial or friendly with me than they typically are. I just think that it isn't really true connection. It's a false connection. And when you are the only sober person in the room, which you're not, but if you feel that way, you will see that too. You will see what I mean. And you will see people in a different light, not in a judgmental light, but you'll understand a little bit more about how alcohol affects people and you. So I would just say that instead of relying on alcohol-centered activities to connect with people, maybe you could start thinking about some creative alternatives like meeting a friend or swapping out a happy hour for a coffee date or taking a walk where you can just talk and be present with each other. If you are hosting something, just try something like a fun game night, a potluck dinner, or even a movie marathon with popcorn and snacks. And here's a big one for us high achievers. Look at fitness activities as a way to connect. Taking a class at your local gym, going on a hike, or even a neighborhood stroll can be such a great way to bond with friends without alcohol. Another benefit of exploring these types of alternatives is that it opens doors to new dynamics in your relationships. You'll start to realize which connections are about you, your interests, your values, and not just about shared drinking habits. I promise you, it will be incredibly eye-opening and honestly, very liberating. Now, will there be moments when you feel a little out of place? Sure. But these moments will pass, and as you collect those wins, you will just get stronger and stronger, building those sober muscles, knowing what you want to say, knowing what you want to do to prepare in advance for events, and pretty soon it will become second nature. Now, remember, you're not sacrificing your connection time, you are redefining that. And what you gain might be something far more meaningful than you really had before. Okay, now that we've worked through some of the tools and strategies that will help you get through the immediate challenges of dry January or whatever alcohol-free challenge you are doing, I want to shift our focus towards something even more exciting, and that is what happens after this month. Because it isn't just about getting through 30 days without alcohol. That is one of the mistakes that I thought when I did Whole30, that it was about the 30 days and then I would go back to how I ate and lived life before. But I was missing the point because I was doing this to find out how to feel better, how to eat in a way that made me feel good and healthy and energized. And I want you to think about this 30 or 31 day challenge the same way. Again, when I think back on my experience with Whole30, I realize now that it seemed like just a simple 30-day food reset. But looking back and all the different times that I did it, I can say that it taught me so much about transformation as a whole. I approached that challenge initially as if it were a finish line. If I could just get through the 30 days without breaking any rules, then I would have succeeded. But what I didn't realize back then, real success wasn't about those 30 days. It was about understanding who I was becoming during those 30 days. And that's exactly what dry January can be for you too. It's not just about saying no to alcohol for a month. It's an invitation to step into deeper self-awareness and control. It's about freedom, about reframing habits that might not be serving you and setting those powerful intentions for the year ahead. It's also about asking yourself, what is God calling me to in this season? And how can I use this time to become more aligned with the person that He created me to be? Of course, some of you are wondering and maybe even a little fearful when you think, what happens after January 31st or after this challenge is over? Well, don't worry, because you don't have to throw away all this progress after 30 days. Think of it as building a foundation that you can carry forward. First, decide what balance looks like for you moving forward. For some of you, that might mean continuing to live alcohol-free. And for others, it could be making intentional choices like only drinking on truly special occasions, or eliminating weeknight drinking for good. Whatever you decide, make sure that it aligns with your goals and values, not someone else's expectations of you. Second, find a way to integrate reflection into your life on a consistent basis and take it to prayer. A simple tool like journaling can make such a big difference. Just take a few moments each day and think about, how am I doing? What's working well? What do I want to change? And also just ask God for guidance and strength as you move forward. And finally, do not underestimate the power of grace or your spiritual gifts. You're going to have moments where you stumble and fall short. You just will. We all do. But those moments don't erase your progress. They do not define you. What matters is how you respond. Extend to yourself the same grace that God so freely gives to each of us. Get back up, keep going, because you are on a lifelong path of growth, not just a 30-day sprint. Now, as we wrap up today's conversation, I want to anchor everything we've talked about in the beautiful truths of our Catholic faith. Because as much as Dry January is about self-discipline and personal growth, it's also a spiritual practice in its own way. Self-discipline connects so deeply to Scripture. Think of fasting, prayer, or even the call to deny ourselves and take up our cross. It's not about deprivation for its own sake, but about creating room for God to work in us and through us. One of my very favorite passages comes from 2 Timothy 1, verse 7, which says, "For God gave us a spirit not of fear, but of power and love and self-control." This challenge that you're embarking on or have embarked on is about stepping into that spirit of self-control, not as a punishment, as a gift, as a way to invite God to transform you. And now here's the best part. Your worth is not tied to how perfectly you do this. God's love isn't contingent on whether or not you make it 30 days without a drink. His love is constant. No matter your wins or your struggles, He is with you. Know this. Hold on to this and walk in freedom because of it. Now, I also want you to take a moment to celebrate your wins, whether they are big or small. You can email me, you can message me. In my show notes, I have a little link in there that says send a text. You can tell me your wins there. I know sometimes this can be something that we don't want to just tell everybody about, but we want to share it with others or share our wins. And wins look different for everyone. So maybe for you, a win is waking up without regret after a gathering with friends. Maybe it's being more present with your kids or having an honest conversation with a loved one about why you're doing this challenge in the first place. These mini victories matter so much, and they're foundational for the lasting transformation that we've talked about. Now, I remember one moment during my own challenges when I had complete clarity. I was sitting with friends, laughing and enjoying the moment when all of a sudden it hit me. I didn't need anything external to enhance the experience I was having. And when I realized that, it was such a gift. It was a grace, and I want to encourage you to look for your own moments like that because they are a reminder of the freedom and joy that you can experience when you align your habits with your values. Now, finally, let's just take a moment and dream a little bit. Take a moment and imagine your life a year from now. Picture a version of yourself who has carried this sense of freedom with you well beyond 30 days. How has that impacted your relationships, your health, your faith? Can you see it? Can you sense the openness, the clarity, the confidence in that future version of you? That, my friend, is what stepping out of the chaos and into alcohol freedom can offer. Not just an absence of something, but the presence of something so much greater. This is the starting point, a way to set the tone for your year. And I hope that you know that I am here with you every step of the way. You are not alone in this process. God is with you. I'm cheering for you. You have lots of other sisters who are also cheering for you. And no matter what, you are already worthy and loved. Now, before I close out today's episode, I just want to take a moment and remind you that you do not have to go through this experience alone. We are building something sacred here, a space for growth, connection, and transformation. And if you're ready to take this challenge deeper, then I have some incredible resources that I would love to share with you. First, be sure to check out my 30-day alcohol reset for Catholic women. Now, I did this reset back in November live, but I'm making the content available for just $27. You get access to the workbook, to each week's videos, I have like 30 days of prompts, something to do each day. And then I also did coaching calls each week. So I think that there's like 5 coaching call replays that you can listen to as well. So you can have access to that content again for just $27. I'll have the link in my show notes. And then, of course, you probably heard me talk about my Sacred Sobriety Lab that is now open and up and running. The Sacred Sobriety Lab includes a course, a self-guided course. I do weekly group coaching. And then I have my Sacred Sobriety Society, which is a supportive community of women who are on the journey with you. It's a safe, faith-centered space for encouragement, for connection. You get practical tools. Again, you get coaching. One of the huge benefits of group coaching is you get to hear other people get coached, and that is super helpful as well. So if you do the 30-day reset and you pay the $27 for that, and then you decide, oh, I'd really like to go deeper and do the lab and have community and coaching, let me know and I will take that $27 off of the price of the lab as a discount for you. So there's that. The lab doors will definitely be open through January 31st. I just want to give everybody an opportunity to decide whether or not they want to join the lab. Then I'll reopen it again just ahead of Lent. So you can find links to both of those opportunities in my show notes. Of course, I do provide one-on-one coaching. You can go to my website if you want to check that out, or if you want to book a discovery call with me. Lastly, if you know someone who might need this message, I'd be so grateful if you'd share my podcast with them. And also, if you could rate and review my podcast, that would be so helpful, because then it will be shown to more people, and hopefully I can help even more women who are looking to reduce or eliminate their alcohol consumption for any reason. Well, Happy New Year. God bless you, and I'll look forward to seeing you soon. Well, that does it for this episode of the Catholic Sobriety Podcast. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I would invite you to share it with a friend who might also get value from it as well. And make sure you subscribe so you don't miss a thing. I am the Catholic Sobriety Coach, and if you would like to learn how to work with me or learn more about the coaching that I offer, visit my website, thecatholicsobrietycoach.com. Follow me on Instagram at the Catholic Sobriety Coach. I look forward to speaking speaking to you next time. And remember, I am here for you. I am praying for you. You are not alone.